real pain. All it does is it pushes us into denial. It pushes us, if you're using, spiritual mantras to convince yourself that you're happy, pushes us into what we speak about as spiritual bypass. It's definitely not a healthy thing to do. And yeah, you resist it, it's going to persist. So today, I might convince myself I'm happy, because it's all I say, I'm happy, I'm happy, I'm happy, I'm happy, I'm happy. But the minute I become quiet, the minute I sit to meditate, as I'm drifting off to sleep in the night, as I'm arising from sleep in the morning, I know that I'm sad. So you've got to look at, what are you dealing with? Is it a real, temporary reaction to, experience of something that is happening in your world? If so, allow it. You don't need an affirmation to get over it. A loved one dies, you'll be sad. Naturally. Let yourself be sad. Let yourself go through the grieving process. Don't try to convince yourself you're happy, because you know it isn't true. But if instead of something like that, if you suffer instead from what you can think of as kind of low-grade depression, meaning it's not the kind of thing that you can't get out of bed, it's not the kind of thing that you've got to actually be treated by a professional, but it's that low-grade thing that a lot of us struggle with. That sense of just constantly being negative, like, what's the point? Why bother? Why get out of bed? What do I have to live for? I don't like anybody. I don't have any good friends. Nobody's nice. I hate my job. I hate my neighbors. That type of generalized negativity. Then affirmations are really good. It's just giving you a different way to think about the world. You don't actually have something to be depressed about. There's nothing wrong other than your mindset. See, in the first case, you've actually got something to be upset about. You've lost a loved one. Through divorce, through death. It's happened. But in the second case, you don't actually have something to be upset about. It's just a mindset. It's just a habit of the mind. So affirmations are great when it comes to simply issues of habits of the mind. Your mind tends to go negative, give it something positive. If I am happy feels too false, I am so grateful for my beautiful life. Something like that. I'm so grateful for my beautiful life. All right. You can be grateful even if you're not happy. Slowly, slowly, the gratitude will bring happiness. But if saying I'm happy when you're miserable feels way too fake, drop it. Say something different. I'm so grateful for my beautiful life. I wake up appreciative for all that I've been given. Think of something you can say that feels real to you. And affirmations work also in a lot of beautiful ways where if we've got a negative way of looking at others, so if you're very, very judgmental, for example, everyone you meet, you just negatively judge them, train yourself, whoever you meet, train yourself to say, this person is one with God. This is a reflection of God, a manifestation of God. I bow to the divinity in you. It's what namaste means. The divine in me bows to the divine in you. It's a beautiful affirmation. Whoever you meet, namaste. I bow to that divine. The divine of me bows to the divine of you. It's a great way to overcome judgment. And if you find that you're negative about yourself, a lot of us have this kind of constant critical voice in our head. You're ugly, you're fat, you're skinny, you're too pale, you're too dark, you're stupid, you're worthless, nobody's gonna love you, you're lazy, you're irresponsible. Whatever it may be, affirmations work great with that, because those are just patterns of thought. They have no grounding in reality whatsoever. They are not true. But at some point in your life, your mind got in the habit of telling yourself that. So you just give it a different habit. I am a divine being. I am working harder every day to achieve my highest potential. I offer myself every day as an instrument in God's hands. Whatever it may be. But think of an affirmation that feels digestible to you. Because every time you say it, you don't want to go, oh God. So it shouldn't feel ridiculous to you. It should be something you can digest, but something that you bristle at a little bit, because it's not the way you're used to thinking. And then just get yourself to use it every time the mind goes in the other direction. And you'll find that slowly, 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 you can develop a habit of thinking differently. And in that case, what you resist does not persist. Because there's actually nothing to resist. If my mind says you are lazy and stupid, and instead I think I am surrendering myself to fulfill my highest potential, I'm not resisting anything. There's no truth to my laziness and worthlessness. I'm simply overcoming an incorrect, false pattern of thought. So that's when affirmations get used. If something is real, real sadness, real grief, real loss, let it be. Don't try to push it away. Work with it, heal from it, allow it. But if something is a negative, false pattern of thought that runs your life and has no bearing in reality and just keeps you stuck and holds you down, absolutely. Get yourself a great affirmation and overcome that negative belief. Great, thank you, Dia. Other questions that anyone here has? Yes, sitting right in front. There you go.
आई एम कोटर किंग विमल कुमार। मई 2023 को आपका सत्संग मैंने सुना।
अब थोड़ा सा पीछे हो जाएगा बस, ताकि आवाज़ थोड़ा सा साफ आएगा। या
मई 2023 आपका सत्संग ज्वाइन किया। पूरे विश्व को मैंने समझा। भारत सरकार अभी तक मेरे खिलाफ है और मुझे कोई मदद नहीं मिली। रियासत का कोई बेनिफिट प्राप्त नहीं हुआ और लाइफ भी सुरक्षित नहीं है। गंगा तट में रहता हूँ। वर्ल्ड को मैंने चिट्ठियाँ लिखा, लेकिन कहीं से कोई मदद नहीं मिली। तो समाधान चाहता हूँ, कैसे मैं अपनी लाइफ को सुरक्षित स्वस्थ रह सकता हूँ और रियासत का बेनिफिट प्राप्त कर सकता हूँ। नमस्कार।
पहले बात यह है कि जब हमको लगता है कि सभी मेरे खिलाफ है, when we feel like, when it seems like everyone is against me, it's important to look within honestly, with introspection, because if it's one person against you, 2 people against you, 3 people against you, 4 people against you, okay. You can say, well, this one has this, or this one has that, or this. But the more people who seem to be against you, the greater the percentage of people in your life who seem to be against you, that comes the time when you want to really start looking in and asking, is it possible? Is it possible? It's just a question. Is it possible that there's actually something about the way I'm living or what I'm doing that is making people against me? Maybe they're against me because they have a wrong impression, at which point maybe I'm giving them the wrong impression. What is it that I'm doing that gives the wrong impression? Or maybe, is it possible that I'm actually living or speaking or acting in such a way, even if my intention is pure, that I'm acting in such a way that is hurting people or angering people or pushing people away? So that's an important aspect of introspection. But a lot of times also in life, we are put to tests. God, the universe, our karmic package, tests us. And we feel like we get no help from anywhere. That's the time that we go to God. God is always the one who is always there for us. Chahe baki log hai ki nahi hai. God is always there. So you've come to the right place. You're on the banks of Ganga. Just allow Ganga to be there for you. Offer yourself to Mother Ganga. Just, hey Ma, show me the way. Show me the way. Mujhko moksh do. Not sharir se. We're not asking for the moksha from the body. Jeete hue moksha. Give me that freedom while I'm living in my body. But freedom from all of the ignorance of the mind, all of the stuckness of the mind, all of the games of the mind. You are in the land where for many thousands of years, sages and saints and rishis have come with no one to help them. It wasn't that there was, Amazon.com who would deliver whatever they needed to their cave in the Himalayas, or food service that would come and bring them food if they went begging for alms and nobody gave them food. When Pujya Swamiji was young and in the jungles, days went by that he got no food. People didn't give it to him. He was young, he was healthy. People in the villages are not very wealthy. They see a young, healthy boy begging for alms. They don't necessarily realize the power and importance of a spiritual path. They don't realize his guru just stuck him there and said, you're in God's hands. They say, kama ke khao, jao, kama ke khao. Go out and earn money and then you eat. So he went many days without food. But what he always knew was God was there for me. His guru was also there, but just not physically. So the guru was not helping him in any practical way. But the blessings were there. The grace was there. And in that same way, just know that God's grace is there. Ma Ganga's grace is there. And you're in a land where people have experienced that grace for thousands and thousands of years. But use this time to introspect. Introspect. If it seems like I have no one, why? Maybe it's just a test from God. But maybe there's some other reasons also. And just ask yourself. An honest introspection. And then see whether inside there's anything that you need to adjust so that people are able to see that light of you, that beauty of you, that divinity of you. And the clarity will come. Just meditate on the banks of Mother Ganga. You're in the right place. Beautiful. Just एक second मैं देखना चाहती हूँ. Does anyone else have a question? Are there any other questions that anyone has? Yes, come please. बस आपकी दूसरी question बाद में लेंगे, पहले किसी और को मौका देंगे, फिर वापस आ जाएंगे आपके पास.
नमस्ते. नमस्ते. मेरा नाम सुमन है. आई एम फ्रॉम चेन्नई.
Wonderful.
मेरा सिर्फ एक ही सवाल है कि मेंटल हेल्थ के बारे में. अभी मेरी 2 साल की बच्ची है. शादी के बाद थोड़ा मेंटल हेल्थ में बहुत प्रेशर पड़ रहा है. उसका क्या इलाज हो सकता है?
शादी के बाद ये हो गया.
Before marriage, I was so happy.
Done. Just confirming. Yes.
Before marriage, I was so happy. I was enjoying my life, so beautiful. No tense, nothing. After marriage, so many pressure. The way I think was so less. So I want to know how
Yeah,
to...
I understand. Beautiful. So, marriage is difficult. Marriage is difficult, even in the best of circumstances. There's a beautiful phase, typically, especially if it's a love marriage, before we get married, then the honeymoon phase. But then that tends to fade. And if we don't have a really deep and strong, loving relationship, it's very difficult. It's difficult even when you do have a loving relationship. There's always sacrifices, conflicts. But if there isn't a very, very strong base of love, then it's even much harder. And especially marriages in joint families are very difficult, especially for the girl. Because you're walking into a brand new situation. And naturally, they usually expect that you will adapt. That however you've lived your life, suddenly you're going to start living it now the way they live it. And sadly, one of the things that I've seen is daughter-in-laws struggle a lot. But it's very rare. Sometimes you see it, but it's very rare. It's far too rare that mother-in-laws actually really bring the fullness of their compassion to make it easier for the daughter-in-law. Too frequently, what their way of being is, well, when I was her age, I had to go through it. I adapted. I managed. I did it. You also should. It would be much better if mothers-in-law could say, that was so hard for me. I never want a girl who comes in my home to struggle the way I struggled. I will do things totally different from the way my mother-in-law did them. But you don't see that. You see there's almost an adhikar, almost a sense of righteousness in giving the daughter-in-law a hard time, because the mothers-in-law think, I had to do it. It's like fraternity and sorority hazing, right? Universities, courts, legislature keeps trying to get these fraternities and sororities to stop practices of hazing. But what they always say is, we had to go through it. Why shouldn't they? We were hazed. We were miserable to get in. Why shouldn't the new kids? And so no one is ever prepared to stop these practices. So being a brand new, just 2-year bride and having some mental health issues, sadly, it's not that unusual. It's not that hard to understand. I think the first and most important piece is to have compassion for yourself, to understand that your life after marriage is very different than your life before marriage was. You cannot hold yourself up to that same standard that you had before marriage when you were living according to your own way, your habits, your wishes, your values, your priorities. Now suddenly, everything changes. Now you have to live according to someone else's values and priorities and way of living. It's really hard. Have compassion for yourself. Hopefully your husband is someone who isn't just your husband, but is your best friend, so that you have that ally. And if not, then have more compassion for yourself, because then it's even harder. And know that there is a sisterhood of women out there who are struggling the way that you are struggling. And just know that there is love flowing to you from that sisterhood of women across the world. But what it means is that you need to find comfort outside of the home then. I don't know if you're working, I don't know if you have a job, I don't know whether you've got hobbies or places you go, but you should make sure to cultivate things that you do that are for you, ways that you are growing, ways that you're deepening, ways that are in alignment with things that matter to you. Make time. Make time to meet friends, to make friends, and to have activities, again, whether it's your job, whether it's a hobby, whether it's art, whether it's music, whatever it might be. But make sure that you have a life outside of the 4 walls of that house. These days also, we have this great gift of technology. So as I said in the beginning, we're joined by our family all over the world. People who can't be here physically, but wherever they are, they're tuning into satsang. So they're able to access satsang wherever they are. Because when people leave from here, they always say, I feel so peaceful here. But what do I do when I go back? And there's lots of places in the world where people live where there isn't a spiritual sangha, or at least not one that's in alignment with, what they found here. So they're able to tune in online. And I mention that because there are groups of women, support groups, that come together online. You can do it from your phone, in which you can connect with other women who are also struggling. And you can become friends to each other and help each other. But also, if you're really suffering deeply with mental health issues, don't feel ashamed to get professional help. Especially in India, we have this stigma around it. And there should not be a stigma. If you had, pain in your kidneys, you'd go to a nephrologist. Nobody would say, Hare, you are weak. Sort it out yourself. You have pain in your eye, you go to an eye doctor. Pain in your throat, you go to an ENT. There's no shame. We understand. I don't know why I have pain in my throat or my kidneys. I don't know what to do about it. So you go to an expert. And if you find that you're really suffering, do not feel badly. And again, you can even do it online. If for whatever reason you can't actually go physically, you can do it online. These days there's lots and lots of options for online counseling, online therapy. It's nice to be in person, so if you can go in person, it's better to be energetically connected with people rather than just online. But the point is that even if all you have access to is your mobile phone, you still have the ability to access so much to help you. And come and stay here for as long as you can. A few days, longer, whatever it may be. Come as frequently as you can. You'll find here a lot of people who are ready to support you, to be there for you, to be your friend, to listen, to care, to help. And then you can stay in touch also when you leave. Don't go through this alone. Okay? What is your name again? I'm sorry?
My name is Suman.
Suman. Suman. Wonderful. Wonderful. Beautiful.
Thank you.
Rohan, Sonia, Karuna, Alejandro, Pujya, will you all just raise your hands for a minute? Suman, see these people? Look here. Rohan and Sonia and Karuna and Alejandro and Pujya. So they all live here in Seva. So after satsang you can
Sure.
connect with them and start really building a group of people who you can stay connected to.
Sure, Guru Ma.
Of course, yeah. Have a beautiful, beautiful rest of your evening. We will not be having satsang for the next 4 evenings. So June 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, we will not be having satsang. We'll be gathering together again for satsang on June 5th. But between now and the 4th, we will not be having satsang. Have a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful 4 days. And so